are going live. There we go.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, and good afternoon, good evening. And Samantha D, thank you so much for being with us. What time is it in the UK?
It is 5 minutes past midnight.
That's what I thought.
This is my midnight face.
Beautiful.
Isn't it wonderful?
Beautiful.
Fabulous. Okay, so I'm Beth Gray, energetics and MBIT coach. With me, I have Sharon Froshen. You are an NLP. Sarah Wallen, who is also MBIT energetics coach, and Samantha D, who is a coach and also author of My Big Fat. So we are here today to talk about ditch the diet and face the feelings. So what I'd love to do is for each of us to go around and introduce ourselves, talk about our experience with food so far and our relationship with food. Yeah, exactly. And how we reach this point where we are today of, coming on and saying, well, let's ditch the diet and let's just face the feelings. So I don't know, who would like to start?
Okay, I'll go. Okay, so you all know me as Samantha. I live in England. I've been dieting and overweight all my life. And last year, I kind of had a subconscious epiphany where I stopped thinking about food and calories and what to eat next and when I'm supposed to eat, and just let my body tell me when it needed something. And it's been just really liberating. Sadly, it's liberating after weight loss surgery, every single diet on the planet, meal replacements. But, the best realizations come after the bad experiences, don't they? So, and I kind of wrote a book about my experiences, and I'm here to support anyone who has that dependency on, I need to be on a diet or I need to be told what to eat. Yeah. Because it's a very dark place and it can affect you as a person. Every time I hear the word diet, I shudder, because it's a thing you go on, and therefore when it fails, you blame it. Rather than saying, well, okay, I need to address something, something else that's inside me. So that's where I'm coming from.
Fabulous. Okay, so Sarah.
Hi, Beth, ladies. So my journey has been a long one. As Beth mentioned, I'm an energetics and MBIT coach. I'm actually an MBIT master coach and MBIT trainer, which we can get into further along also. But I'm just learning to stop paying attention to the scale, stop paying attention to all of those external forces that are bombarding us daily about going on a healthy diet. And within the last couple of years have just really turned inward to start asking my body, what do you need? I have some chronic health issues that I am trying to absolutely eliminate by using food for medicine rather than all of the multitude of other reasons I use it. I've battled a weight issue since my 20s, so it's been, decades long. Tried many, many diets. I agree that diet is just an evil word. It's just like as soon as you say you're on a diet, you're setting yourself up to fail. and you're just waiting for that day to happen. And so, I'm in the process of learning a new way of being. And that's just being in touch with myself and what I need in my body to be happy, healthy, and just joyous in my life. So that's what I'm about.
Fabulous. Well, we've got a note here from Tony Lee. She says, it drives me crazy when I hear people talk about their weight. I inwardly cringe. They're kind. Are they fulfilled? Do they love themselves? That's so much more important than how much do I weigh? You know, and I know both Sarah and I, you're going to hear us say over and over again, could we just put size and weight on the shelf? You know, just put them in the back of the closet. We'll bring them out later. But, you know, I love the fact that we're all on that same page of, you know, what do we need? So, Sharon, what about your experience so far? What brings you to this point?
Hey, everybody. I'm Sharon. I'm the founder of Nourish. I actually arrived here because I almost died from things that I did to my body, from abuse that I, handed out to my body. And I was left with the choice of either making some changes nutritionally and finding a way to replace psychiatric medications and other prescription medications, or my liver was going to fail. And that was not an easy realization to come to, because I was an omnivore. I loved bacon, loved cheese, loved, the really bad stuff for you. And then I visited actually a member of this group, Crescent Terry. I visited her in Los Angeles. She's one of my closest friends, and she had changed her diet. She was making cheese out of nuts and stuff. I was just like, what? And she gave me this kimchi that was just incredible. It was all this stuff that she makes at home. And I came home from that at the beginning of 2016. And we were joking before the show that I just looked at my partner, who, by the way, is the cook. I don't cook. I looked at my partner, who's the cook, and I said, so I'm vegan now, babes. And just this look on her face, like, and you know what? She dished up 3 amazing vegan meals that same day. So if I hadn't had that kind of short order cook going on in my house, I might not be a vegan right now, But part of the reason for why I founded this group is that we spend all of our time focusing on what we look like. And what we look like is for no one else but other people. Mm-hmm. That's not for us. We think it's for us, but the fact that other people appreciate and love us is what makes us like looking a certain way. And we don't get healthy when we're doing it for other people. We're only going to get healthy when we do it for ourselves. And the reasons that we eat right for ourselves don't involve the way we look. They involve the way our organs are functioning. They involve the way our chakras are functioning. They involve the way that our heart is functioning. They involve the way that all of our organs are working together to create this mystical, magical machine that we live in. And I watch New Year's happen every year, and every year, tons and tons of my friends, all of their New Year's resolutions are, I want to lose weight. I want to start eating this differently. I want to do this. What would it be like if this year your New Year's resolutions were, I want to go back to school. I want to get a job. I want to buy a fucking house. Pardon my French. What if those were your New Year's resolutions instead of losing weight? So the reason that I put this all together is we're perfectly capable of supporting each other into better lifestyles through care, through gratitude, through sticking with each other and being one. And I wanted to give us all the opportunity and a place to do it, where at the beginning of the year, we have a chance to write better resolutions.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Sharon. And, and that's why we're all in Nourish, because it's about nourishing ourselves, nourishing each other, and sharing that journey. For me, that journey started probably back in 2002, 2003, when I got a food poisoning, which unbeknownst to me at the time, gave me celiac disease. As an autoimmune response to the food poisoning, it just triggered that gene, that debility within my gut at that moment. And my immune system switched from recognizing wheat as a source of food and everything to saying, no, wheat is bad, but worse yet, actually, the small intestine is bad. So I'm not going to attack the wheat. I attack the small intestine. Whenever you eat wheat, I'm going to destroy all of this. Unfortunately, I didn't get diagnosed with it until 2012. So I lived with a bad diagnosis for a lot of years, struggling because, taking into account, I live in Panama where nobody is of a Nordic, Anglo-Saxon, Caucasian race, and so don't have those same genetic dispositions, shall we say. So it was virtually unknown here. When I finally get the diagnosis, I had just been on 3 years of suffering through a nutritionist telling me I was not eating enough whole wheat. No. I mean, it was diabolical because they were like, you're insulin resistant. Now, of course, I know that celiac causes insulin resistance. And so they were feeding off each other. And of course, I was just getting worse and worse. But, these things happen. Since going gluten-free, life has changed. But the damage done to my gut for those 10 years still was there and is what I've been working on healing. And so my journey over the last 2 years has been getting back in touch with myself and my body, going, what does my body need to heal itself? Okay. Yes, I need to avoid the gluten, but that's not what I need in order to heal. So it's been a journey on learning to listen. And obviously in January of this year, I did MBIT coach training, understanding a whole lot more about the neural networks in my gut and how that plays into serotonin and happiness, and recognizing where, that as much as I can affect my happiness by what I'm doing and what I'm connecting with, I can also affect my happiness by giving my gut what it needs, And so as I've taken this journey of learning, and, I've been learning the last 5 years, and this year I was convinced, a bit like Sarah says, I know my body can heal itself if I give it what it needs.
Yeah. The puzzle is just figuring that out.
Exactly. And so, but it's been a fabulous journey, of recognizing, I haven't been on a diet for the last 3 years because I decided I was not dieting ever again. And so I lived for 2016 reaching my heaviest weight ever, which for some of you go, well, that's nothing. But for me, it was, I've never been this heavy and I don't know how to do this. And being able to say, I don't know how to do this is probably the most powerful words you can say. Because it's not, I can't, it's that I haven't learned yet.
Yeah.
Hey, Susan, thank you so much for joining us, as well as Tony Lee. Glad to see you here. Glad to see Roberto Cire here as well. So today, I just want us to open up a little bit about the group, what we're bringing to the group, each of us, and our individual practices in terms of coaching, because I know, Sharon, we've already, you and I within the group are offering coaching and mentoring to people within the group. And I know that there's others that have also come up and said, no, count me in. Within Nourish, we're offering this to everybody that's coming in, at least once a week.
Free of charge.
Exactly. That we want others to come on this journey. Tony Lee says, I'm giggling every time Sharon takes a slurp of her water. Thank you, Tony Lee.
Like a little hamster, isn't she?
That's impressive.
You know, a water bottle.
Say it again.
Yeah.
I love you, Tony Lee.
So Samantha, you have an amazing story because you've lost quite a bit of weight.
Yes.
But by not focusing on size and weight.
Yes.
By focusing on that mindfulness, how am I feeling? What am I needing?
Yes.
I'd love to hear a little bit more about that.
Well, it kind of happened by accident. I gave up my job last May, in May 17, because I was over the top stressed, over the top anxious, over the top unhealthy, commuting for 4 hours, working for 10. And it was really, not healthy, not a nice place to be. So I was offered, another year because I was self-employed at the time. And I said, no, I'm going to take some time for myself. And I don't think people realize how bad things were until they step out of it. And when I look back now, I think, God, how did I do that? Commute for 4 hours on a train, bustle through the crowds in London, work for 10 hours under intensive stress, and then go home again and have 2 hours spare time before I have to go to sleep and do it all again. Anyway, so I gave that up, and I started going down into a really bad spiral, like, oh my God, what have I done? I've never not worked. And I went to see the doctor and I said, Doctor, I'm anxious, I'm depressed, I'm stressed. And he said, well, look, he said, I can medicate you, but you could take this opportunity as some time to spend on yourself.
Amazing doctor. Wow.
Yes, I know. I mean, he did medicate me at that time, I should say. But he said, look, take this as an opportunity to just look after you, because I was so severely unhealthy. And so I'm rattling around the house. I'm kind of, the first thing I did was create a routine. So I got up and made my bed every day. Tiny things, Yeah. The second thing I did was start meditating every day. But not only that, learning about how meditation works, why it works, what it can do for you, how the brain works. And then I thought, you know what? I'm going to write a book. So I really started writing the book full time. And while I was doing that, unconsciously, I stopped thinking about dieting and losing weight and food. It was just all falling out onto the page, and it was cleansing me kind of all everything that I had been asked to believe about myself. You should lose weight, you should be healthier, you should eat breakfast, lunch and dinner, you should eat this kind of portion. It just kind of fell away, to the point where I was kind of thinking, I'm actually feeling hungry now, so I'm going to have something to eat. And it sounds ridiculous, but it was an absolute revelation, because if you have an addiction to food and overeating, you forget what it feels like to be hungry. And it was such a revelation for me when my stomach rumbled. I kind of, I'm hungry. It was really weird. And ever since then, I either say it out loud or I say it to myself. I choose to put cream in my coffee this morning. I choose to do this. I choose not to have that. And it's been an absolute revelation. It's so freeing, which is why I think this group, Nourish, is a triumph, because there are so many people still trapped in the whole diet cycle. You know, they go on it, they lose a bit of weight, they go home, they put it back on again. And, you know, I struggled with it for decades. And so that's what happened to me last year. From May last year to today, I am 55 pounds down, and I've weighed myself twice.
Awesome.
Yeah. Lovely. Fabulous. Yeah.
So
totally believe in that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know, you know, that whole Tony Lee had put in the comments about how she had a client that when she worked through her grief of a miscarriage, without doing any dieting, without doing anything, she simply released all the storage.
Yeah, I would like to insert here that's why we're asking you to come have a session. That kind of stuff right there. We're asking you to come deal with those core issues in a session so that for the rest of this challenge, you literally have the experience of not fighting yourself or anything else. That's what we want you to experience. That's why we're offering this to you out of the goodness of our hearts, because we want you to know what it feels like to succeed. Yeah. Please come avail yourself of those sessions. Absolutely. I'm sorry for interrupting.
No. That was perfect. And that is just it. You know, I know Sarah's coached me a lot over the last 3 months. We've caught up in one-on-one coaching sessions, also with another friend that's been with us. And when I've had emotional breakthroughs is when I've released that need to drown something in food or to cover up something in food. I mean, I even had the situation today where I sent Sarah a text of, I'm trying to write. I wrote a paragraph and I want to go to the kitchen. I'm not quite sure what I need in the kitchen. But
a distraction.
Exactly, yeah. And it was just like, and she was like, right, just right.
Good advice.
But you know, we use food to give us pleasure when we're looking for something else. And I've had this experience that with my daughter who's 5 of just before bedtime, Mommy, I need some ice cream. Oh. I was like, oh, so you're hungry? Would you like a sandwich? No. Are you thirsty? Would you like some milk or honey or something? No. Would you like a hug? Yes. So she was.
You are an amazing parent. Can I just say that? You're an amazing parent.
But we have these tools, and I just, you know, I find it amazing as I've learned all of this. You know, I held her until she fell asleep, but she didn't need ice cream. She wanted comfort.
Yeah, and connection.
Mm-hmm. But, you know, and I understand why ice cream represents that, because anytime she's gone to the doctor and had to have an injection, she gets an ice cream. Okay, that's my fault. That's totally my fault.
And Beth, that's a perfect example of adults just creating interference in our natural way of eating.
Absolutely.
But you teaching her this represents comfort.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And so, you know, as I've recognized of, oh my goodness, what did I do? And now I take a step back of, okay, what do you really need? You know, and if I go through the entire list of everything I can think of that she might have a need for or a want for, and I get a no, well, she can damn well have the ice cream if I can't figure it out. But, you know, there's times when she said, well, no, I just need a little spoonful. And she just wants a teaspoonful of ice cream. That's all. I just want that. And, you know, one of the invitations that I'd give to all of us is, how much are you really enjoying your food?
Yeah. How much are you present with your food?
Oh, yeah.
Or are you in front of the TV or your computer distracted? And all of a sudden, there was this really great test done a couple of years ago with movie popcorn. Did any of you see this? Where they were testing whether or not people would respond negatively to eating stale popcorn at the movies. And so, they showed a film and started serving people stale popcorn. And because they were just enthralled in the film, they sat there and ate buckets of stale popcorn without even realizing it. And that's how tuned out we get and out of tune we get with ourselves, that we would sit and eat stale popcorn. And then, of course, when it was pointed out to them, they all went, oh, yeah, this isn't what I want. I want fresh popcorn. But I mean, it's, if we're not present, we can just put so much into our bodies that we don't want or need.
Yeah. Or, in fact, things that we conveniently forget afterwards. So, some Fridays coming home on the train from London, I used to treat myself to a first-class seat. And in the summer, they would serve you a complimentary tub of ice cream. And, it's there. And if you're on a seat where there's no one sitting next to you, you've got 2 tubs of ice cream. And by the time you get home in the evening, you've completely forgotten you've eaten that. Or, when you're filling up your car with fuel and you grab a bag of chips on the way to pay for your, it's these things that we unconsciously and mindlessly do that, we forget about. Oh, I haven't eaten all day.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's the presence with food. Almost anything that you can pick up conveniently at a store is bad for you. And it's not just bad for you as far as, having salt or fat in it. It's bad for you because it has a bunch of preservatives. It most likely has MSG. It has a bunch of stuff in it that's bad for you. So part of getting healthy is taking responsibility for the fact that I have to plan ahead for what I'm going to eat when I go out. If I'm going to go out to a restaurant, I need to go ahead and look up the menu on that restaurant as a vegan and figure out what I'm going to eat and not make every other person's life in that restaurant a living hell because I'm a vegan and I haven't told anybody in 5 minutes. But it's personal responsibility to be willing to put carrots in a Ziploc bag and keep them in your purse. Yeah. Or to make your own granola bars, which amazingly is not that hard to do, and take one with you in a Ziploc bag. Just planning ahead so that we aren't put in positions where we have to choose items of convenience because items of convenience make us fatter. They destroy our organs. They give us neurological problems and they eat away at our brains. And when I say they eat away at our brains, I mean that quite literally. Yeah. So if we can avoid items of convenience, and the simpler the food, the better. Yeah. You will just that. You don't have to be a vegan. You don't have to do keto. You don't have to do anything. Go as simple as you can for a month and we'll revisit.
Yeah. I had to laugh. I sent my daughter to school with a hard-boiled egg and cucumber sticks and that. And the teacher's like, how do you get her to eat that? And I'm like, it's what she's grown up with. It's what she's used to, Now, she'll complain if the cucumber didn't have a sprinkling of salt on it. She wants just that tiny little bit of saltiness on it. I don't have a problem. Okay? You can have a tiny little bit of salt on your cucumber sticks. Of course you can. Okay? But it's knowing that, she's going to come home and she'll have been perfectly happy with the fact that in her lunchbox, there was no cookies and crackers. There was no chips bag. It's not that she never gets to have them. It's just that she usually doesn't have them. That's not what we plan for. And I mean, as somebody who has to avoid gluten, I know that if I'm going to somewhere like an all food included hotel or something like that, I will take 2 or 3 bags of nuts with me for all those moments where they don't have snacks that I can have. It doesn't take a lot of planning. You just have to do that tiny little bit of thinking ahead of, okay, what do I need? What do I want?
That all boils down to self-respect.
Yeah.
Right? You know what you're going to be moving into in your day and in your life. Are you consciously doing it, or are you just sleepwalking through it and taking whatever life throws at you? Yeah.
And that's another reason why diets fail, because you kind of turn up to a class to sign up, and then you get home and you empty the fridge, and then the next day you're like, right, what can I eat? What does this book say? Well, that's not preparation.
No.
And, you know, the more prepared you are for something, the more likely you are to succeed. And I just think that if we take responsibility for, you know, what we're putting our bodies through, as Sharon says, then we're more likely to sensibly prepare for it. Because, you know, I can't get up tomorrow morning and say, I'll jump out of a plane today. Come on, let's do it. You know, you're going to research it, aren't you? And you're going to find the best possible, you know, plane jumpers that you can find.
Hopefully.
And you've been talking for a long time about jumping out of a plane. And then you're possibly going to do a practice run on the ground. And then you'll actually do it. You're not just going to get up and say, okay, let's do a skydive today. You know, I think preparation is key. And a lot of these diets cater for the fact that you don't have responsibility for yourself, and therefore you're going to do this diet and, you know, pay the money for it. Well, you actually don't need to do that.
And so you're handing over your power to another person.
Exactly.
It's for me. I don't trust myself to choose well for myself. Yeah. So I'm just going to, you choose for me. And then the moment you come off that diet, the moment they're no longer choosing for you, you don't know how to choose.
Yeah,
exactly.
And not only that, but unless you're being educated at the same time, okay, this is how calories work. This is how weight works. This is what fat does to you. This is what stress and self-esteem can do to you. Unless you're getting that education, you're probably going to fail, because if you're following a diet from a book that somebody has told you to follow, there's going to be a day in there that serves you mashed potato when the sight of mashed potato makes you puke. So you're going to look for an alternative, and you're going to say, oh, God, I haven't got anything in. Oh, sod it, I'll order in. And that's when the fails start. And then, you know, afterwards, when you're back to your normal ways, you kind of say, oh, yeah, I tried that diet. It doesn't work. Well, in fact, if you look under the hood of all of them, they're all the same. They're just marketed in a different way. Yeah. And they play on our inability to take responsibility for ourselves and how we treat ourselves, you know, in this respect. So I think they're demon spawn, honestly. I'm so...
They also prey on the addictiveness of our food.
Yeah,
they prey on the addictiveness of our food. Absolutely. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Samantha.
Yeah. No, that's fine. I was done.
Tony Lee has this great comment. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. Now, would one of you like to say that?
Perfect alliteration.
Proper preparation. I don't even remember it. I can't remember it 10 seconds
later.
Yeah.
All right. And so, you know, she was saying, you know, she can prepare and take her lunch, etc. But one of the things that happens, and I've noticed this in my life, something emotional happens and we want to run away from it. And the first thing we're thinking of is, where's the French fries? Or where's the ice cream? Or as opposed to being willing to settle in that discomfort of this emotion, I'm just going to stuff it down with some food. And like Tony Lee says, the moment you release that weight, you release that storage of what you've stored in the fat cells, You also release what you stored in those fat cells. So today I'm upset and I go and I eat French fries, and I store in my fat cells that upset when I store those French fries.
And you put it on a shelf, and regardless, it's going to have to be dealt with sometime. It just sits there waiting.
Exactly. And so when I lose the weight later, I've got all these emotions that I have no idea what they're about or where they came from, because I don't even remember.
Well, in fact, I was having a similar conversation with Trina last night when we were doing our triads, and we discussed, getting to the point where we've been the lowest weight we've ever been, or since before we can remember. And what we discovered there was abject terror. I was saying to her that,
stepping into the big unknown. Absolutely.
In a few weeks' time, I'm going to be the lowest weight I've ever been since I was 18, 30 years ago. And it's terrifying. It really is, because...
Well, we're here to hold you.
I know. Oh, thank you, Sarah.
Yeah.
Probably need 3 people to hold me. But...
That's okay. You got 3 of us. Don't worry.
I love you, Samantha. You are hilarious.
Oh, I love you too, Sharon. So, and going back to the whole fridge thing, there's a hilarious section in my book where I talk about, I'm coming home from work and I'm kind of thinking, I've had a shit day today. I'm going to go to the, the fast food store and get some fish and chips. And I would drive past this place 2 or 3 times on the way home. And it honestly looked like I was scoping it out to rob it. It did, honestly. It looked like I was going to rob a bank, because I had one voice telling me, go on, you deserve it, you've had a terrible day. And the other voice, because I'd started meditating by then, was saying, no, you don't need that. You just need some silence and, a bit of a hug and cuddle your cats. So while these voices are going off, I'm driving past this fast food place like I'm going to rob it.
Well, let's hope they don't get robbed, or you're going to turn up on the tapes as their number 1 suspect.
I'm going to be in the news.
All right. We'll collect bail money.
Guys, I'm streaming live into the group this weekend a movie called Hungry for Change, which is a movie that's on Guy, and it's about diets. It's actually about the diet industry and how the diet industry preys on different groups of people and why they prey on different groups of people. It's not a vegan movie. I'm very serious about this not turning into a vegan group. I don't want anyone being shamed. I don't want people being mistreated for what they choose to eat. If someone eats meat, I want them to feel comfortable in this group eating meat. We will encourage you to source locally grown meats so that you're not buying meat that's being shipped over from a foreign country. But I really do not want anyone in this group shamed for what they eat. We get shamed everywhere. We don't need to shame each other. And one of my favorite parts of this movie is that these are all diet experts. These are people who are health and wellness coaches who are, incredible in their industry. David Wolf, all kinds of incredible people talking about why you fail. And what breaks my heart, I haven't been heavy most of my life. I've been on the thinner side most of my life, but I was raised by a mother who, from the day I can remember up till this last time that she visited my house, insults her body every time I see her. And she's smaller than Beth, talking about how she's fat. And I grew up with that. I had that my entire life. So when I was a methamphetamine addict and I weighed 98 pounds and my skin was gray and almost translucent, I thought I looked bitchin' because I had broken past Wonderland.
Wow.
So I would encourage you as mothers, if you have daughters, don't badmouth your bodies around them. Don't do that. You are your child's, your daughter's model as to how to appreciate your body. And I get it if you're not happy with it and you would like things to change. But if we model to our children, especially our daughters, that you're going to be upset and obsessed about weight your whole life and nothing's ever going to be good enough. We now see this next generation of girls that are out there snorting condoms and doing all this ridiculous stuff trying to lose weight.
Yeah.
And I would rather see us pass on to the next generation vibrant, thriving health, the health that we used to have in this country before we industrialized our food. I would like to see us have those Sunday dinners together. Again, I would like to see us using food as medicine and not medicine to comfort, your feelings. And I remember after I got sober, I spent a year in a homeless program for female veterans. I got sober, and the second I got sober, my eating disorders kicked up. I made everybody feed me in a little teacup saucer so that I wouldn't eat too much food. And I'm in a house full of Black women, right? And I'm one of two white women, and I know that they used to just walk away like, what a crazy cracker! I can't believe how you feed on. I just know that was going on because all of them ate, and that's one of the things I love so much about Black women is Black women love their bodies.
Yeah.
They can have curves. They celebrate their curves. They celebrate that stuff. And to me, a woman is supposed to have curves. I don't want to date a stick. I want a woman with curves. And we don't, as white women, we're not taught to celebrate our curves. Yeah. We're not. Black women are taught that they are bodacious and they're from a young age, just that they're banging and they celebrate their physique. And meanwhile, white women are sitting in the corner binging and purging and hoping that our husband doesn't leave us. Yeah. And I would really like to see that African-American attitude of, I am the shit. Look at this. That's right. I would like to see us have that attitude where no matter what we look like, we are the shit.
No, you're right.
I'd love to see that.
Yeah. And I think we've got a really multidisciplined panel here. And the reason I think that is absolutely amazing is because there are so many facets to, these problems that we create for ourselves. It could be, a father that said to you, oh, great, you lost 1 pound this week. Let's do 2 next week. Or it could be alcoholism. It could be drugs. It could be, celiac disease. It could be, anything. And we all have a wealth of experience from those areas. And if it was me, 3 years ago, if I had the opportunity to tap into these 4 women, I would be like a pig in shit, really. I would think, oh my gosh, they know everything about everything. I can really empower myself with the stuff that these women have to say. And so that's why I think this group is amazing. And I so want to communicate what I've been through to other people that are, suffering or, punishing themselves at the gym or punishing themselves by eating a celery stick every day because they need to lose weight.
Well, the celery is good for you, though.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But not the celery diet. That's what I'm talking about. I've actually been on a cabbage diet.
Oh, sweet baby Jesus.
Yes, sweet baby Jesus. Sweet baby Jesus and sweet baby Jesus' dad. It was terrible. But, my mum used to read these in magazines in the 80s and think, oh, yeah, let's do this, Sam. It was something that we could do together. And so, just crazy.
Yeah. I going back to what Sharon said before, I can remember my mom always used to talk about how fat she was. And I went back and I was looking at the photos of her when she was fat.
I bet she was beautiful.
I'm like, where was she fat? But then I hit 35 to 40 And I went from being 118 pounds up to 132, where I was curvaceous. And then I went up to 140 something and 150 something, and, getting on to 160. And suddenly I recognized, oh, this is what Mom felt. But it was about feeling not having energy. It was about feeling constantly bloated. It's about not feeling good in my body, waking up with a foggy head. But you know what? That's not about being fat. That's about something was not right in my body.
Mm-hmm.
And as you address all of those things and you get your energy back, it's like, oh, well, now what would I like to do? And I mean, my daughter loves to get my birth belly and go, oh, look how it moves. And I'm like, and there's part of me is like, it's not supposed to move like that.
Well, Beth, if it makes you feel any better, my son is 28 years old and I still haven't lost my birth weight. So,
If it makes both of you feel any better, I have a birth belly and I've never had a child. There you go.
We need it, Sharon.
But it's that whole thing of she celebrates it. She loves that tummy. And I'm like, okay, you have to learn to love it like a child. They have no judgment. They're not, they're not calling you fat or anything like that. They're just, oh, you're so nice and soft, Mommy.
Actually, Kim has a belly. And I nicknamed it. I nicknamed it Missy because I love her curves. So she would always get upset about her belly. And now she loves it. Like, I gave it a nickname, and she talks about, Mom, Missy's out and about today. She gets really excited about her tummy. And I love that because I just showed her stomach a little bit of affection and made it okay for her to have a stomach. And all of a sudden, this whole new version of her popped out where it was okay to be her. And she didn't have to constantly pulling shirts down and pretending like she wasn't something that she is. If you have something that you hate, nickname it. Give it a cute little nickname. Call it by that. Do it. It works. Yeah. It does.
That's a great turnaround to stop judging something.
Stop now, Sharon, or I'm going to whip the girls out.
So I mean, but there's so many things that we sit there and we judge ourselves on, and no one else is judging us.
They don't even see it.
Yeah. And so, for me, I know after having been through chronic fatigue with celiac, my question now, my point is, do I have energy or not? If I'm managing my energy and I'm back to managing my energy, then I need to adjust something. Something's out of balance. Something's not right. Okay. But it's not about how much do I weigh? How do I look in the mirror? It's how much energy do I have for life?
How much can I get done? How passionate am I about getting out there? Because when we're eating horrible food, it's not only that we're eating, foods that are fat, foods that, weigh our body down. It's also, again, we're eating all of those preservatives. We're eating those antibiotics. We're eating all that stuff. And multiple studies have shown that eats away at your brain. So there's a lot of people that I know that talk about my presence, how when I'm around, when you're in my presence, you feel seen and you feel heard, that my energy goes way before me when I enter a room. And that's because I don't have chemicals in my body interfering with the flow of my energy.
Yeah.
Everything that touches my skin is organic. There's not a name brand cosmetic in my house. I use zero makeup. I put coconut oil on my skin once a week and that's it. Yeah. Nothing. I don't have any of those chemicals in my body. And I can tell you, if you eliminate chemicals from your body and then eliminate fluoride from your diet, you can think I'm crazy all you want. Your third eye will open on its own.
Yeah.
It will open on its own. You won't need to do anything. You won't need to do any magic tricks or anything. Your third eye wants to be open. That's the function of the third eye. When you give your body the right food, your body says, oh, you're going to take care of me. Let me shine for you, as this movie that I'm going to stream in says. So just eliminating chemicals. You don't have to eliminate meat. You don't have to eliminate cheese. You don't have to eliminate animal products. Just try to make your food simple and as good as possible. That's all you have to do.
Yeah, there's so many diseases in our population now that didn't even exist prior to the 1950s, when everything got to be convenient. Everything was preserved and made, way too easy to get. Before that,
gluten intolerance didn't exist.
No.
Yeah. Exactly. Lady, I'm just looking at the time. We need to wrap this up. It has been fabulous, and the time has just gotten away on us, which is wonderful. We will be back again next Tuesday, and we'll let everybody know. But obviously, this is our invitation. Come join Nourish so that you can flourish.
Yes. That's what we want for you. We want to see you flourishing as a being, thriving. That's what we want for you. That's where our hearts are for you.
Yeah. All right. So wrapping this up, it has been fabulous. And we will see you all, hopefully, in the group of Nourish, and catch you all next week live at this time again. So thank you, Sharon. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Samantha. It has been absolutely fabulous being with all of you this evening.